So you've been making the most of your placement, following the guidelines we set out in our previous module. But what happens once your placement's over? This presentation is going to lead you through a few key activities you can do to reflect on your experience and bring it forward into future career plans. It starts with a bit of reflection, looking at the skills and accomplishments that you made during the course of your placement. Then we'll start to look at future opportunities, and in particular, how to ask for them. We'll look at asking for referees and references once your placement is over, and we'll discuss exit interviews and exit surveys. We'll talk about the all-important process of updating your resume and keeping in touch with your supervisors and colleagues. A key component in getting the most out of your placement is to reflect on your experience and evaluate what you've learned. Effective reflection starts by asking the right questions. In this case, what skills have you learned or enhanced in the course of your placement? What were you good at and what were you not so good at? What have been your major accomplishments? And a very important question is, can you actually see yourself in this profession in the future? Self-assessment shouldn't be a one-off exercise. Your skills and accomplishments will continue to grow and develop, and reflecting on your skills and what you have achieved in various roles will assist you in future applications. Reflection will allow you to look back and identify new and previously unrecognized skills. You'll identify accomplishments and achievements that you may not have realized the significance of at the time. This could increase your level of self-confidence and self-awareness. And importantly, it's going to allow you to collect concrete examples and evidence to back up the claims that you make in future job applications. It will also assist you in writing your final reflective report for this module. Some reflection is really important when it comes to having a discussion with your supervisor about any upcoming opportunities within the organization. You'll use it to update your resume, and it will help you prepare for future possibilities in other organizations. In the post-internship activities module of this course, you'll find two handouts. One is entitled How to Write Reflectively, which will assist you in filling out your learning journal and internship logbook. Your reflection has helped identify your skills and accomplishments, and now we're going to turn to taking them forward into the next steps in your career. Think of it as creating a professional portfolio. Your goal is to demonstrate the skills you've developed with concrete examples from your internship. Have you achieved something in your placement which has been proven to be beneficial to the organization and that you can share as evidence of your effectiveness? It can be as simple as keeping a diary with information about your duties and responsibilities while on placement and making note of any achievements and accomplishments. This will assist you in updating your resume and having a conversation with your supervisor about future opportunities so that you don't just have to rely on your memory. After you've developed a record of your skills and achievements, you're ready to start talking about future opportunities with your supervisor and colleagues. There's any number of kinds of projects that you could identify as something that you can contribute to the organization. They could be existing projects or ideas of your own that you can propose to your supervisor. It's quite common to look at doing some research for the organization. Or you could offer support for their future interns by writing a guide or providing an FAQ. Many interns become company ambassadors. Remember, organizations may not always have the resources to complete certain projects, evaluate data, or conduct research. Presenting your supervisor with some self-assigned work which is beneficial to the organization demonstrates your innovative ability to address organizational needs which they may not have the capacity or the time to complete. It also allows you to pursue your interests and work on projects that you find really interesting and rewarding. If you'd like to continue working with the organization and you've identified areas in which you could contribute, schedule an appointment with your supervisor at least 2 weeks prior to your end date. Perhaps you could come up with a formal proposal for future projects or tasks that you have identified, and it could help if you develop a timeline, a start date and completion date for the project. As excited as you may be, it's important to be patient. Your supervisor may not always be in a position to advise you of future possibilities immediately or approve projects straight away. They may need to consult with colleagues or their human resources before providing you with a definitive response. While you're waiting, continue seeking other opportunities. Update your resume, look for new opportunities and apply. Don't put everything on hold waiting for an answer from one place. Some organizations may ask you to complete an exit survey or interview. They do this because they want to find out the reasons why an employee is exiting, and they want to establish a transfer of knowledge or information, which we'd call a handover, for new employees and replacements. When it comes to internship positions and placements, exit surveys are generally used to learn about feedback on the internship program and information about the status of any projects or tasks. At the conclusion of your placement, schedule a meeting with your supervisor. Inform them of the status of any projects that you've been working on and advise them of the materials that you've organized. Perhaps you could write a list of outstanding tasks or describe the important systems that you've been using. Remember to make a list of your accomplishments. This will help your supervisor when evaluating your work. One of the most useful things that can come out of a placement is a professional reference that can go on your resume and support future job applications. Timing is important when it comes to talking to people about references. Don't assume that they're willing to be a reference without talking to them first. Start making requests a couple of weeks before your internship ends. Of course, your supervisor is the first person you should talk to about being a referee, but they can also be anyone who you've worked with or for while on your placement. They should be able to provide positive information about you to potential employers by phone or by email. Employers will usually contact referees after you've attended a job interview. The main criteria for who you ask to be a referee is whether they'll speak highly of your contribution or not. Talk to your supervisor, think about colleagues from other areas or departments that you've worked with, team leaders, and mentors, anyone who's advised you along the way. Information about your referees should be the last item placed on your resume, and remember to include the following details: their name, their job title, and their current contact details. That's a phone number and an email address. It helps that you talk to the referees first. They should be ready and willing to answer a phone call or email with information that complements your job application. Tell your referee when you're applying for jobs that they may be contacted so that they're ready to answer some questions about you. And you can also tell them about the kind of jobs you're applying for so that they can make their answers more relevant. Most employers prefer to talk to a referee, but sometimes they request a written reference. A written reference is like a letter from your referee to a future employer. It usually includes a description of the type of work you did, how well you did it, and what you would like to work with. A really important activity to do after your placement is updating your resume. Bring your resume up to date with a description of your placement. Include the title of your placement role and outline your main duties and responsibilities. Highlight any achievements. And in particular, look for transferable and technical skills. These are the skills that you used in the placement which are going to be of use to you in the future roles that you apply for. Don't forget to update your referees. One reason placements are so useful is the relationships that you make, and that's why it's so important to keep in touch with your supervisor and your colleagues. It's easy to forget to keep in touch, but it's important that you remember, because it will allow you to maximize your opportunities by remaining on your supervisor's radar and hearing about job opportunities in the organization or in your area of expertise. One way to keep in touch is to send an occasional email. Just check in and let them know what you're up to and find out what's going on in their world. Don't do this too often, maybe 3 times a year. Of course, a really excellent way to keep in touch with people is social media. In particular, LinkedIn.com is one of the best ways to keep in touch with people. LinkedIn also assists by creating a professional profile, building your professional network, looking for opportunities, asking your contacts to introduce you to other professionals, and keeping you informed on changes and trends in your industry. Of course, it's always important to say thank you. You should send a note of thanks to anyone who has offered you support or advice while on your placement, and this could include your supervisor, your team leader, your colleagues, or a mentor. How you do this depends on you and the type of working relationship you developed. It could be an email, or you might prefer to send a note or a card or even a letter. As you prepare to exit your placement, think about the impression that you're going to leave behind. Obviously, your goal is for people to think of you as a professional. And remember, it's not about the label that you give yourself, it's a description that you hope others will apply to you. Placements are one of the best ways to advance your career when you're a student. They raise lots of interesting questions, and sometimes you're not quite sure what to make of it all. And we're here to help. Visit our website to access a whole range of fantastic resources and to find out how you can contact us for one-on-one support.